Thank you so much for joining us today. And I'm absolutely delighted to have with us today Rebecca Foust, and Diane Frank. And I'm Joyce Jenkins, and this is the Poetry Flash reading series, which I'm sure you all know. But I wanted to tell you, many of you know already, but I just wanted to tell you that our longtime friend and series introducer, Richard Silberg, has passed away. And I just wanted you all to know that, so we can sort of dedicate this reading to him. And that we'll keep going with that. Quickly, we videotape these readings, and we video these readings, and they will appear, including this reading, on our YouTube channel, the Poetry Flash YouTube channel. We have the beautiful books here, and they are also on bookshop.org/shop/poetryflash, which is a nonprofit online bookseller. And what else do I need to tell you? We are circulating a petition. Jim LeCure, wonderful Jim LeCure, has it right here. And if you are registered to vote in Berkeley, it would be a great blessing, a mitzvah, a genuine mitzvah, if you could sign this petition, which will really help us. They would put a ballot measure on the November ballot to help the arts in Berkeley, which are sorely damaged right now because of obvious reasons in our broader culture. And they're dealing with a huge budget.
May I add one thing? I have also been circulating petitions on behalf of La Peña, and they need 4,200 signatures by May 1st. So if you have friends in Berkeley and they're kind of lax, urge them. March 1st is the deadline.
Right. Well, we have to turn this petition in tomorrow morning.
Oh, okay.
So I'm with you 100%. We need the bulk of the signatures. You're absolutely correct. All the signatures need to be in by May 1st. Absolutely. So we're on the same team here. And
can I say one thing?
Sure.
This would help Joyce put on the wonderful Watershed Festival, which was called off this year for lack of place and funds and everything else.
We had a place, but we had no funding. We were not able to raise any funding at all. So it's on hiatus at the moment, the Watershed Festival. But when it is funded again, we're not going to give up. We're going to keep, like as Jim says, we're going to keep raising funds for that. And as soon as we can, we will bring it back. But it's all part of this process, and every vote, every signature, every voice counts. So thank you so much for even just coming to this reading. Just really, really appreciate it. Okay. Thanks to Harold Adler, impresario of the fabulous Art House Gallery, Support Art House. And thanks to Stephen Bunza and Rosalinda Monroy, who are here from Poetry Flash today to help. So, next, we have an overeager artist here on the other end. I have to get rid of her message before I can continue. I'm sorry. It's pretty crazy. We're going to begin with Diane Frank, the wonderful Diane Frank. She's a poet and musician, and of course, you also know her as editor of Blue Light Press. And her new book of poems is Prayer to the Invisible. Thomas Santalella said of it, in her new collection, Diane Frank relies on two of her most beloved motifs, dreams and music. She employs them as talismans against what her mother, a marvelous singer, calls, in my favorite poem, the mishigas, the craziness of the world, which we're experiencing right now, I know. In a touching tribute to her friend who was killed in the Tree of Life shooting, Frank says, our prayers grow out of the shadow of necessity, the shadow where, as Jung reminds us, the affirmations of dreams and music and poetry can contend against ever-impending doom. She's the author of 9 books of poems, 3 novels, and a photo memoir of her 400-mile trek in the Nepalese Himalayas. Her awards include a 2022 Next Generation Indie Book Award for While Listening to the Enigma Variations. We have it here today. And she's editor. She's edited 3 wonderful anthologies: River of Earth and Sky, Poems for the 21st Century, Fog and Light, San Francisco Through the Eyes of the Poets Who Live Here, and Pandemic Puzzle Poems, a fantastic title. So her first novel, Blackberries in the Dream House, was nominated for the Pulitzer. And we're delighted to have her here today. Please welcome Diane Frank.
Thank you, Joyce. Thank you, Harold. And thank all of you who came to hear us today. I really appreciate it, and I know that Becky does too. I'm going to begin, I'm going to dedicate my first poem to Richard. It's Appalachian Symphony, which is the first poem in this book. When I was playing in the Golden Gate Symphony, we had a tradition that whenever we performed Beethoven's Ninth Symphony, we just thought of people that we loved and played the 4th movement for them. So it was a wonderful thing. So I'm going to continue this tradition with this poem.
Louder?
Yeah, closer to the mic, Diane, just a little bit.
Okay?
Maybe it needs to go up a tiny bit.
Yes,
Is this better?
you just,
Okay.
you just need to be a little closer to it.
So yes, no?
That's fine.
Okay.
That's better.
So, Appalachian Symphony, this poem takes you to the Red River Gorge in Kentucky, and I strongly believe that if you pay attention, the whole world is speaking to you. Appalachian Symphony. Drink this, morning air and light, birdsong in an old-growth forest at dawn. The moving shapes of exotic butterflies, so many species flying in from a dream of mountains. The Red River Gorge, arc of rock, ripple of water under a stone bridge, where time unfolds in the touch of an arm or a leg underwater. This is where music pulls you out of a dream into the warm Kentucky air, into a cave of memories of the mountain, a picnic by the river where you found the agate that morning. The river rippling silver and the sound of a banjo inside an early summer wind, where a symphony reveals itself in the voices of the birds and a synesthesia of butterflies. Listen to the music your fingers reveal every morning. Listen to the wind's mysterious song. Next is the poem that Tom Santalella wrote about. along with Michigas, which everybody knows, craziness, the crazy person. There's a word my mom used to use, ungepatchket, which very few speakers of Yiddish know. It means like cluttered, ornate, in bad taste. It's a word with attitude. And so this poem takes you back to New Jersey when I was 10 years old. Walking with my mom in December. My mom and I are walking down the street in New Jersey in December, snow up to my knees. Christmas lights on every house but ours, and she says in the Yiddish vernacular, ungepatchket. Too many colors, too many lights, as cluttered as a rhinestone pin with too many stones. She prefers the illuminated blue star attached to the Wadham's chimney and the icicles of light hanging from the Higgins eaves. Not this Michigas on the Reinhardt's house. My mom must have been Italian in a past life. She loves men with curly hair and Mediterranean skin. She asks our neighbors for heirloom recipes from their Italian grandmothers. My dad loves the way she cooks in the tradition of Grandma Helen, but he has no patience for her love of Christmas carols. Our book of carols in 4-part harmony hides in the piano bench right next to her Hebrew choir music. She never learned to read music, but I can't complain. With so many years of piano lessons, it was easy for me to teach her the alto part when the choir director composed music for a prayer, and I learned it with her. With that huge, sweet voice she had, she could fill a synagogue or a nightclub without a microphone. So many people told me they had goosebumps when she sang. I have her voice on CD, in Hebrew, in Yiddish, in nightclubs with a jazz combo, singing the blues. But dang, not her hug, not her smile. She took that to the grave. Another music poem, Magnificat. This is for J.S. Bach. When I was a student at Syracuse University, we performed a 20-hour marathon concert on his birthday. And this is about that experience. Magnificat for J.S. Bach. It was the old man's 285th birthday, and I mean the maestro, the Illuminata, Johann Sebastian Bach. I was a university student, and to celebrate 3 centuries of musical genius, our conductor led a 20-hour marathon concert starting early in the morning. All day, musicians and students migrated in and out of the auditorium with motets, cantatas, and concertos. A barefooted organist played the toccata and fugue in D minor, then a prelude entirely with his feet. I was amazed at the synergy of dance and sound. Our concertmaster dazzled us by playing the 6th Bach cello suite arranged for violin with his eyes closed. No music stand as he tuned to an inner singing. Segue to the entire orchestra walking on stage to play the 2nd Brandenburg Concerto, the concerto for 2 harpsichords, the concerto for 3 harpsichords, and later, just after sunset, the Magnificat. I was playing cello next to the harpsichord, inside the sway of its musical body, surrounded by tones that took me back to an earlier century. That night, I had my first experience of musical transcendence. The moon was glowing through stained glass. On the stage, we were playing the Magnificat. Inside, we were flying in otherworldly ecstasy. By 10 o'clock that night, I could swear the maestro was there, listening and sometimes playing with us. Years later, on the other side of the continent, one of my private pleasures is playing the Bach cello suites late at night with no one listening. And sometimes by the ocean, with the moon glowing toward full, the old man whispers to me. Next poem, 4th grade, it's for my brother David. He's the only one I know who got thrown out of Hebrew school. 4th grade. I'm somewhere in the room, 4th year of Hebrew school, which was really a public school after school. My brother's teacher comes down the hall. Maybe you can do something with him. Me? You're kidding, right? I like Hebrew school better than regular school. Letters like doors, houses, and camels, and we had a whole year to learn the alphabet. My brother loved his ability to disrupt a classroom with spitballs or just running around the room and getting his friends to join him. He was tossed out of Hebrew school before the bar mitzvah class. As an adult, he has observed that his friends who are religious are nicer people than some of the rest. Not just his religion, all religions. He was the one who claimed the family menorah, the one with melted wax that accumulated year by year. He never learned to speak Hebrew, but it wasn't something that would help him. Maybe he knew that. In high school, he learned computer-aided design to create complicated parts for airplanes and rockets, and later received an award from NASA for his work on the hydrogen tank of the space shuttle. When 2 astronauts came to talk to his team, he took that to heart, especially when they said, "If you make a mistake, we will die." Even though it wasn't his team, when the Challenger blew up, it shook him to the core. When my brother was 10 years old, dyslexic and hyperactive, nobody knew if he would turn out okay. He painted murals on the walls of his bedroom and wove a giant spider web on the ceiling with skeletons and spiders he could lower and raise. He was afraid of the dark, so one of the spider webs let him turn the light off from his bed. This is the point in my poem when you're supposed to tie everything up into a package, tie up the loose ends, and come to conclusions. I cannot. Do not open the door, an alarm will sound. A San Francisco poem with attitude. She might be a ballerina. She might be a ballerina. She is walking on 6-inch heels and struts, like this is the way she was born. She might be dancing the part of Dulcinea, circling the windmill at the end of Golden Gate Park, with a dog named Don Quixote. She might be a tattoo artist, carrying roses with her trombone. She might be a student at the conservatory, or maybe she wakes up with her own music. She might be busking for the sea lions or tap dancing on a streetcar. She blows a kiss to the driver before she exits in her lavender tutu. The sun is falling into a watery horizon at the edge of the world. Her music is red and shining. The Golden Gate Bridge is her stage. I'm going to read the title poem of the book, Prayer to the Invisible, for Dr. Jerry Rabinowitz. He's one of the 11 people who were shot at Tree of Life Synagogue. He was in my circle of friends in high school, a very close friend. We adored him. It's really different to lose a friend in a mass shooting than to read about it in the paper, and I hope this never happens to you. I wrote this a year after the shooting, where I was just beginning to heal and come up again. So, prayer. Prayer to the invisible for Dr. Jerry Rabinowitz. I write your name where no one can read it, in the sky behind a cloud, on a stone. I write your name in the footprints of a tortoise walking back into the ocean. When you came to me in a dream from the other place, I told you how much I missed you. You let me know you can do even more healing where you are now, out of your body. A year after the synagogue shooting, you embrace your friends at the Tree of Life as they are saying Kaddish for you, where we sit all day and name the dead. You whisper to your wife, who is living in a shadow, sitting alone on the tapestry sofa where she sat with you. Our prayers grow out of the shadow of necessity. Our music floats above the burden we carry, even though you want us to release it. I carry your spirit on my shoulders as I walk into the synagogue where we played music for you. As I follow an eclipse north, as I walk into a dream. I write your name in the sky after midnight, in the Leonid meteor showers, in the penumbra of an eclipse of the wolf moon. Your name is inside the music I play for you on my cello. I write your name in the invisible, where you disappeared that morning, where your spirit flew into a cloud. I write your name in an ice halo around the moon, and my prayer that this planet will one day, like an amaryllis, bloom again. Thank you. It's a really important poem to me, and at every reading I do, I speak against gun violence. So this is a point when, I'm doing a poetry cello performance with my husband. We usually have a musical interlude, but I'm going to change tone completely with the next poem. There are some poems, they're old friends. They just stay with you for a long time and remain important. So this is one of those poems, and it's called In the Voices of the Birds. What I most remember about Christopher is the way he knew the names of all the birds at dawn by their songs. His corn silk blonde hair, blue overalls, no shirt, the strength of his shoulders, and the way we stayed awake all night. There was light in his touch between the birds. They flew in and out of his fingers, and birds outside our window, a window we couldn't open again that way. We met when we could after that, in Iowa, Switzerland, San Francisco, in borrowed cabins by two different oceans. You took me to my brother's wedding in a red pickup truck, made fun of the priest and his future mother-in-law, which you claimed permission to do because you were Catholic. I remember the way you hurt me, what you said, and the sentence I typed on your portable Smith Corona in Nantucket before I left for the last time. It was November, with a light dusting of snow over the sand. The pebbles on the beach hid their messages. On separate sides of the continent, we listened to different oceans and slammed our lives shut. You in Brooklyn Heights, with your 2-year-old son on your shoulder. Me in San Francisco, climbing the long hill to 24th Street. 12 years later, holding your first book of poems in my hands, I am hungry for memories, hungry for every word, hungry for any hint of a message where I might find myself. In the inscription you write, there are histories in this book you may be familiar with because you were there. I am not the arms where you will rest your head when you're 80 years old, but I always hear you in the voices of the birds.
Thank you.
Let me see how much time. What?
You have plenty of time.
Been keeping track of it, yeah. I'm going to read Late August at Point Reyes. It's an environmental poem with a bit of social commentary. It was published in Perrin's Fountain. I figured out the magic formula for how to get through to the new editor. It has an epigraph, a proverb, an Afghani proverb from the Pashtun tribe. A tree lives 100 years, and a bird perches in it just one night. Late August at Point Reyes. The mother tree gathers a redwood circle. A white deer runs through the forest. The hikers lose their way in the sunset, and the breadcrumbs run out. A white deer runs through the forest, gathering light that has sprayed from stars. A dream is shivering. A yearling tree has stretched into its first koan. The pine cones are dreaming of a forest as fire spreads its acres and sweeps up the hill. Steller's jays fly toward the darkness as branches begin to fall. Oh, just a minute. A woodpecker taps a message, but the crazy woman who dropped a match in the undergrowth does not hear it. Her nightmares become mythological birds. Somewhere in time, prayers fly out of phoebes and nuthatches. The chanting is in a minor key, the notes burn across the page. In a different part of the world, 3 billionaires fly to the moon, while the rest of us are trying to rescue our burning planet. Thanks. I'm just getting over an allergic reaction to something, and I'm sorry that happened. I'm going to read 2 love poems and then a poem called Turtle Island. 2 very short love poems. This is a poem I wrote for Eric before I met him. You know, it's there's a quote from Rumi: "Lovers don't meet along the road, they're in each other all along." Something inside me knew he was out there. I just didn't have confidence that I would ever meet him. Iowa Omen. 3 hawks fly south as your voice trembles across the Great Plains. Fields of sleeping cows, a gentleness in the land. Here is the omen, skies splashed with aurora, blue stars, curtains of light. The letters are gold on red silk, Japanese calligraphy. If I had the right kind of ink, I'd write them on your skin. Wings of Stars is an ekphrastic poem inspired by Silk Moth, a painting by Gail Morrison that I saw at the MSA Gallery in San Rafael. I have an ekphrastic poetry workshop for 4 days there every summer. Wings of Stars. Wings of stars, the body of love, transparent against the sky. A tree with red dream apples, fireflies flickering. Clouds lit by ice crystals, forming rainbows around the moon. Where is this dream taking me? Which universe? What night? What will I remember in the morning? This is how we love, meridians of silk, dripping light over my body, fireflies hovering in the inner sky. My final poem, Turtle Island. In the Native American tradition, the earth is called Turtle Island. Most of you probably know this. Turtle Island. What if the world was created by a giant turtle swimming across the sky at the beginning of time? What if the turtle carried dreams in her belly, giving birth to fish and stars? What if the high-flying tern marked the world lines of space and time with nets of aurora borealis? What if the donkey said, the humans are a joke, spinning through space, juggling fire and ice? What if the crab said, crawl sideways if you want to uncover the dreams that are painted inside of shells? What if the moon said, the night will tell you secrets if you listen to the music inside of stones? What if the shark said, you will discover fish that glow like lanterns in deeper currents of ocean water? What if the octopus said, your dreams are tentacles into a future filled with fish and golden apples? What if the turtle keeps swimming out of the sky to a universe hidden somewhere else? What if the buffaloes stampede with their ancestors across the Great Plains under an ocean of sky? Buffalo Woman says, the world is a dream or nightmare. Weave your visions with tender hands. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, wonderful. Wonderful. Our next reader is Rebecca Foust, and she has published, Blue Light Press has published, an expanded version, a new edition of her book, You Are Leaving the American Sector, Love Poems. And it has 5 new poems, so if you have the first one, you might want to look at the second one. It's an amazing book. And as she says, it was inspired by a rereading of 1984 during the pandemic and the turbulent years of the 2016-2020 Trump administration, which we know has continued into the future. And Rebecca Foust,
Just skip that
what?
part. Just skip that part. The
Skip that part.
That's a great intro.
It's been, what a day, right? I'm so glad that you're here and reading from this amazing book. But I do want to tell people a few other things because you are worth it.
Sorry, Becky.
And for one thing, your previous collection only earned a star review in Publishers Weekly. I mean, come on. That demands respect. And Ellen Bass said of that, in only her luminous collection of poems, Rebecca Faust's gifts are in full flower, richly imagistic and achingly lyrical. These poems wrestle with the big questions: religion, immigration, climate change, politics, parenting, autism, and death, all on a deeply intimate level. Like an impressionist painter, she uses light to capture the immediacy of the present, the passage of time. And I realize we don't have only on the table here for you, but just gives you a taste of the range and the depth of this poet's work. And her other books, in case you run into them or already have them, Paradise Drive, which was a Press 53 award winner, and Godseed with the artist Lorna Stevens, which was Foreword Book of the Year for poetry. And she's received many other awards: Poetry International Prize, Pablo Neruda Award, and others, a list. She's widely and beautifully published. She was the Poet Laureate. She's Poet Laureate Emerita of Marin County, and she divides her time between Northern California and Minnesota. Please welcome Becky Foust.
It's great to be here. Thank you, Joyce, for that beautiful introduction. And oh, I miss Richard's whimsical introductions and him. But thank you for all you do. And thank you to the Art House and to Harold and to all of you for being here, and to Blue Light Press for giving new life to my book. Can you all hear me?
Yeah.
I had a reading all planned, and last night I went to San Geronimo and heard Javier Zamora read from his memoir, Solido, which won the Northern California Book Award a couple years ago, right? And he's an amazing guy, and his book is amazing, and he read poetry instead of reading from that book, and it was amazing. There were 400 people there. And I want to just give you the message I took away from his remarks, which is what we do in rooms like this matters, and we need to be fucking loud. That was his main message. And I want to raise a fist in solidarity for Minnesota.
Mm.
Yes.
I'm going to open with a poem about immigrants called Sit With Me. Sit with me again by the fire to debate the placement of commas and italics and the meanings of words, as if the world were at stake in this warm, bright room, secured by a heavy door with a good lock, on a street in a block no ICE agent would dare wield his baton. And that for a moment what matters is nothing more than the words on this page. Here in this room, we believe in choosing the right words in the right order, and that it makes a difference whether craven means crass or something more odious, like openly indifferent to suffering. Even if both happen to apply, only one is precisely correct, and we believe that matters. After the election, a woman on the bus cried out while checking her phone Thank God, she said, the bees are no longer going extinct. They've been taken off the endangered list. It was not long after that the EPA got shut down, and the word criminal was amended to mean children who escape into this country from earthquakes, machetes, and guns. And last night, workers were taken right out of the kitchen at Cavallo Point, but here in my neighborhood, the magnolias are unfolding large, creamy blooms with an abandon that brings to mind the words wanton and craven. Sit with me again and remind me words matter as much as the world. Remind me craven means not crass, but cowardly, even if both happen to apply to our president. And evil and immoral can be over the top in a poem. Tell me what each term means and does not mean, and what this particular 4-year term means to the father who worked here for 20 years and now has to leave his family behind. And tell me how to parse a sentence that balances weeping with silence, children with criminal and abandon, and president with craven and crass and openly indifferent to suffering, immoral and evil. Give me any meaning that makes any sense and will not allow the reader to choose or to turn away. And speaking about another oppressed group, which includes my trans daughter, I'll read this next poem called Abeyance, which is in the form of a letter to her. I made soup tonight with cabbage, chard, and thyme, picked outside our back door. For this moment, the room is warm and bright, and I can presume you safe somewhere. I know this country's night lives inside you. I know it and we made mistakes, dividing you and hiding you from you inside. I know a girl like you was knifed last week, another set aflame, and that these things happen all the time. I know I lack the words, or all the words I say are wrong. I know I'll call and you won't answer, and still I'll call. I want to tell you you are loved with all I have, recklessly and with abandon. Loved the way the cabbage in my garden near inverts itself, splayed to catch each last ray of sun, and how the feeling furling in only makes the heart more dense and green. Tonight, it feels like something one could bear. And this next poem reminds us that speaking up for the oppressed is not just the right thing to do, but might save lives. Fear. My father at 18 was sprinting through the backyard when the MPs tackled him, then went quietly to the war that would warp him into lifelong addiction and fear of nearly everything. Weather, cities, travel, but mostly anything to do with the government. Not just police, but also lawyers, tax collectors, the DMV. He earned his sharpshooter certificate, but as a medic, never carried a gun. He used his brownie camera at Dachau to shoot a roll of photos I was not allowed to see that anyway haunted my childhood. The one time I brought it up, he shook so hard, I thought it was just the DTs. Among his things, we found the tiny black and white photos I wish I could forget, and letters from a former camp inmate thanking my father for helping him, and telling why he had no children. His wife had been sterilized at her camp by doctors who worked for the government. All that explained why my father drank and feared postal clerks. Horror wearing an official uniform might find him again. Still, that ever-fresh, blank fear of his own government baffled me. We were a democracy. Those things couldn't happen here.
Mhm.
I wish he were with me now, so I could do what I never did then. To sit with him, understanding and holding his hand. And here's one, a happier one for my mother. Mother's Day's coming, called Lamb. My first word was lamb, mouthed when I saw what my mother had stenciled on my dresser and that it matched what she'd sewn stitch by stitch onto my sweater. Just seeing one or the other was not enough to draw utterance. It was repetition of the image that induced recognition, and recognition that sparked an epiphany to blast the mist from my 1-year-old mind. Lamb, I thought, and a light came on. Later I would say it again when we went into the country for a Sunday drive, and again when Mom said the nursery rhyme. Later still, I learned to trace the letters myself. And then the word held history and time and the world, and it was mine. So the next poems are from my new chapbook, which is over there, out in a second edition, thanks to the wonderful and very brave Blue Light Press. Thank you, Diane, for your courage and vision. Inspired by Orwell, my book compares 1984's totalitarian dystopia with the one that I saw back in 2016 already, developing here. But 1984 is, if you've read it, how many people here have read it recently? Yeah. At its heart, it's a love story between Winston and Julia, and so is my book. Here's a love poem spoken by Julia to Winston called Shine and Blur. In my dream, there are no thought police, or at least they have not yet come here, where we sit on the sidewalk against the brick wall of what used to be a bank building. The pavement is cracked and scaled, and a weed pushes through, burning its tiny blue flare. It's warm here from the sun, the wall warm at our backs where we try, with small sideways hitches, to occupy the same 2 feet of space. In my dream, I don't shy away when you lean in. No plague, no room 101, no jointed truncheon, no power in God-drunk politicians or flag-waving henchmen. In my dream, I kneel between your bent knees, framing your face with my hands and your eyes with my eyes, kissing you like I remember kissing you before, in the hedgerow, on the shore, on the threshold of a door, opening onto everything, the break and release, released in a river, then all blur and shine, shine and blur. Okay, you got a choice here. You can hear the lovers in the hedgerow or on the shore. Which one?
Shore.
Okay, we're going for the shore. Julia remembers the ocean. I am not quite 30 again, on a beach under a 3/4 moon slung low in the sky, stars pricking darkness and so cold where the tide rushes in, swirling ankles then knees, and you swooping me up in your arms like any fantasy of rescue, and I'm ravished in John Donne's sense of the word, and pretty much every sense of the word. licked up and down my spine by freezing flame, slicked wet like a dog in the rain, every nerve buzzing bees in a beauty bush June. It happens every time I return to memory's long, low curve of cold sand, the swallowed surge of a wave, held breath knocked out and away into liquefaction and release, an icicle held in your warm, bare hand. So they just meet all over the place in the hedgerows, but the most famous place they meet and where they are on their last night is in a secret room above a junk shop in the Pearl District, which is where the proletariats hang out. And in this poem, they meet in the room after having just attended a compulsory daily ritual in London. And the ritual is called the 2 Minutes Hate. And basically these telescreens that are everywhere, like our screens, start flashing images of Big Brother's enemies. And when those images come on, everyone is required to stand up and just scream at the screen. The poem also mentions whales dead in drift nets, which is something on the rise in U.S. waters since our president refused to sign the UN resolution banning those nets. And its main concern is with how when our government lies to us, it makes us lie to each other and to ourselves. The epigraph is Orwell, who said, "If thought corrupts language, language can also corrupt thought." I'm gonna take a drink before this one. And this is one of the new poems in second edition. The Link. Wow, what a great 2 minutes hate. And the best part was the end when we all chanted, "I love Big Brother." But how can you say to me now, "I love you," and mean it? And how can I, hearing, believe it? How can I share your bed, fearing you might betray me, or you share mine? The language of love is linked to the language of everything. Beneath words lie feelings that do not lie, but a brain taught deceit teaches the mouth to weave wide curtains of guile. When it drifts into them, love will sink until it can no longer fathom itself or its own depth. The whale will drown. Oh, love, let us stay here in our secret room where there are no secrets between us, saying the words until we make them true. Look, it's midnight. The world is everywhere webbed with drift nets, and what's caught in them. The world is everywhere webbed with drift nets, and what's caught in them, beauted and tragic and huge. But we're alive, love, and here, and we have just 1 hour. Another devastating effect of all this lying, besides what it does to us personally, is what it does to the polity, our country as a whole. Tacoma Narrows, another new one in the book. No word is safe when our leader lies, and small lies matter as much as the big ones. One whisper of deceit swells in the retelling, then ripples outward in a widening wave. Engineers call it resonance when small waves align, then fuse into something seismic, like an earthquake, or the bridge that in 1940 collapsed into Puget Sound. Not a big wind, but when it rose, the entire span shuddered, then heaved up steel and asphalt in great rolling waves. Before just one cable failed, that suspension bridge was an architectural marvel, the third largest in the world. Every bridge is a web, stayed by many lines, that must be guarded and kept like a vigil. So fragile, this matrix of trust that is America. Crucial, the strands binding our faith in it and in each other, that suspend us in constant terrible tension across the abyss of disbelief. The straits boiling below feel closer now, more dire. When words aren't kept safe, nothing is. Truth is the tension in the wire. So on that last night, Julia and Winston get caught by the secret police, who look a lot like our ICE agents now. And they're taken to room 101, which is located in the Ministry of Love, where they're tortured, each with what most terrifies them. For Winston, it's rats. For Julia, it's being disfigured or maimed. This home happens after all that, and it's spoken by Julia. Water, love, they broke every joint of every one of my fingers. I inherited despair, seeking you in empty skies. The yearning never goes slack, a line that casts its silvery cursive across any water to ripple like light and come to rest before my hungry eyes, my sewn shut mouth. There was one shining man, a moment of apogee sea and stars, and a cold, blown coastline, an erasure of all that came before. Turns out the line was water too, and the angler who cast it, and also the fish stirring the shallows. It's all made of water, even the water. And the only thing real now, the past, insistent, infinite, wet, that I try so hard to keep cupped, but I can't quite hold anything now in these ruined hands. And I'm gonna, in a little bit of a departure, I'm gonna read a new poem called Sex, Beauty, and Freedom. Yeah, so in 1984, there are party members, and then there are the great unwashed proletariats called proles. There's a ministry of education where books get burned, a ministry of love where torture happens, and a ministry of truth whose main arm is called the fiction department. And obviously, in this book, Big Brother is Trump. Sex, Beauty, and Freedom. When Winston wakes into awareness of her, Julia is a burr, stuck in the crotch of his party overalls, picked up on some long ago holiday outside the city, where it is still sometimes green. The idea of her has, like the burr, worked its way through the rough canvas to prick the tender skin near Winston's groin. She's all he's been trained to revere: frigid baths, abstinence, absolute party loyalty, and he loathes her to his core. Blooming just out of reach, she excites memories of how food used to taste, clean water and air, plus other lost luxuries like sex, beauty, and freedom. Julia's known many Winstons, and at first this one's just a new challenge, a way to endure the gray days. To her, sex feels like power, rebellion sung in a pleasure ping, She didn't expect passion or feeling or faith, the things she's used to getting from the paperbacks churned out by the fiction department. Those books are, like our TV now, meant to pacify the pearls, but everyone reads them, hungry for any sex, beauty, and freedom still being enjoyed by anyone, anywhere. Julia buys only the books without covers, mortified by how much she still yearns to believe the blurbs. Things like, Big Brother is on your side. The only side Julia's known is her own, with its big brother-sized thorn. But Winston has taught her to cherish the sensation of being stabbed by each indrawn breath, because it keeps her from forgetting the world as it used to be, real chocolate and coffee, tomatoes with salt, wild grapes bending the vine, how it feels to be alone in the woods, unwatched and untracked, how it feels to feel that way at home. Julia is relearning the art of freedom. She's heard the thrush in the hedgerow, its slide whistle song. She's lain with a man, not to make more comrades or get better rations, but chosen from a pure and dangerous desire. She has lain with her lover, liquid in time. And when she dreams, it's of Winston's golden country, our world before we were fascists. You remember it, don't you? Nights spent sleeping, not doom scrolling or packing a go bag. Days so mild and mundane, they shine like clean linen pinned to a line. And since we're living in what Ashok Mandelstam calls a wolf-fanged age, I'll close with a poem about wolves. It was written at the cabin I share with my new husband, Bill, in the Boundary Waters. It's 1 million acres of formerly protected wilderness in Minnesota. But last week, Congress, by one vote, passed a bill to open up mining. And it'll be the first sulfate mine in Minnesota. It's upstream of our cabin. And if you live in America, it's also upstream of you. Wolf tracks. From inside the cabin, I see tracks in the snow. No tail drag, so not coyote. I think of the mysteries, the forest's dark acolytes of night and moon, weaving like water through ancient trees, then of the St. Bernard taken down in the next driveway, and why our neighbor now packs a pistol in her purse, or so she says. We hear wolves at night in every season, sometimes near the cabin. Usually the broad, wild chord, aching and plural and loud, that reminds me we are all creatures cowed and bound by an iron need. But sometimes the shrieking that signals a kill. Hearing that sound, my neighbor ran outside to find nothing but blood staining the snow. Every bit of flesh, bone, teeth, and fur subsumed back into nature's simmering cauldron. I am making my own soup now, tossing in scraps saved these last few weeks. If I go outside and scrape away the snow, I know I'll find a few freeze-dried sprigs of sage and thyme. I will give thanks then and pray for more time and the wisdom to savor soup while I can. I will pray, not to be prey, to the wolves getting bolder and nearer each day, and to find their tracks only after they are gone, the kind of sign that used to feel seldom and sacred and wild, not merely rapacious and joyously cruel. I'll pray I have time to bolt the heavy oak door before they come, then one day throw it wide, welcoming the warm winds and blown blossoms of spring in my country, if it ever comes back again.